was a guide for all people and a mercy to the universe. Was a guide for all people.
Hey, assalamu alaikum, bismillah, alhamdulillah, salatu wassalamu ala rasulillah. So we're talking about Mahdi. We talked about Mahdi last week. We're going to just finish off some discussion questions on the Mahdi to just see, the importance of this topic and what we've learned, okay? So question was, how do we protect ourselves against fake Mahdis? Surah Kahf. Surah Kahf is protection against Dajjal, not Mahdi. Okay, you don't need to protect yourself against Mahdi. You need to follow the correct Mahdi and avoid the fake Mahdis, okay? Do your research. Very good, Aman. Guys, even the little that I've shown you guys, if you can just remember that, you'll be protected against fake Mahdis, okay? One way fake Mahdis try to, like I mentioned before, get in and deceive people. They say, this hadith is this fake hadith, or we don't need to follow hadith. They don't even say fake hadith. They say we don't need to follow hadith, period, okay? Or they will just say, they will cut and paste the hadith, okay? So the hadith of him being in Mecca and being given bay'ah in Mecca, those are authentic, all right? Look for intentions. The real Mahdi wouldn't flaunt the fact that he's a big leader. Hiba, the real Mahdi doesn't even know he's a Mahdi, okay? The real Mahdi doesn't even know he's a Mahdi. After people give him bay'ah, then he will know he's Mahdi. So unless you're in Mecca, okay, unless you're in Mecca, you shouldn't be deceived by anybody claiming to be Mahdi. If in Mecca somebody claims to be Mahdi, now we can talk. Now this guy who came in Hajj in 1979 and took over the Kaaba, he did it in a messed up way, man. He came in saying, I'm the Mahdi, and he brought his army in. That's not what the hadith says, okay? That's messed up, right? Yes, so Aisha, correct. The real Mahdi would be reluctant to lead at first. Cool. So we need to learn these things and protect ourselves from fake Mahdis. The hadith really, the biggest sign of him being real Mahdi is when the army comes to attack him and the earth swallows that army up. That is really what the hadith says. Then the ummah really comes and really follows Mahdi fully. Okay, initially only those in Mecca recognize him and give him bay'ah. This army comes. Once that is done, then people, this is the sign that this is the Mahdi, and people will follow him, okay? Juhayman, yes, that was the dude, Juhayman, okay? طيب. So looking at the description of how Mahdi is given pledge of allegiance, what can we conclude about that time? Is that time gonna be like chills? Is that time gonna be like our time? What are some differences between sort of the description of how people give pledge to the Mahdi versus how it is right now? Okay, I'll give you some things like, is the haram ever empty? No, the virus that we're in right now, the haram is empty, and it is amazing. And this is why a lot of scholars and people on the internet are saying, yo, Mahdi might be around the corner, because the haram is empty. And it kind of seems like the time, because only 314 people will give him bay'ah. So this is, could be something we're close to it, right? Yes, correct, Azan. But there is one big difference, okay? Just imagine, guys, if the real, let's say the real Mahdi, just for argument's sakes, the real Mahdi comes up right now, and he's at the Hajar al-Aswad, between Hajar al-Aswad and Maqam Ibrahim, okay? What will happen to the real Mahdi? If even he was the real Mahdi, if he were to come out right now, what would happen to him? What do you guys think will happen to him? Anybody want to guess what would happen to the real Mahdi if he shows up? He will try not to claim the position. Okay, probably he doubted the real one. Okay, he will be doubted for sure. He would be doubted to be the real one. Yes. Okay. What else? Think police officers and guards at the Haram. Think the Saudi government. And now you'll know why this discussion is very political, and this topic is very political. Okay, he will not claim to be Mahdi. Okay, they'll try to get rid of him. Oh yes, you bet they will try to get rid of him. They will not only try to get rid of him, they will kill him. They will imprison him. They will take him off away. Okay, they will not let him chill. And oh, you're the real Mahdi. Oh my God, you are. Oh, here is our kingdom, and here's the army and the police force. We're all here serving you. Oh dear, real Mahdi. That won't happen. Okay. So what does that tell us? That tells us the time will be different. That you know, the regime in Saudi Arabia, the police, whatever, it's going to be different. Okay, because when he does come out in the hadith and 314 people come and give him bay'ah, which army is coming to face him? Army from Syria. If it were to be any time soon, man, the army in like around the corner would be coming to face him. Okay, the American army would be you know, not is not too far. They have bases in Saudi Arabia itself. They would be coming to face him. Okay, like I said, you don't need an army for 314 people plus Mahdi. You just need police officers. They would be taking care of this guy. Okay, so the reason I'm telling you all of this is um, when you think, this is just my own analysis, by the way. This is my own analysis. Okay, um, time would need to be different. Things need to change. There has to be quite a bit of change for Mahdi to appear. Okay, so people keep saying it's around the corner, around the corner, around the corner. I'm saying no, things have to change quite a bit. Now, those changes can come quickly somehow. There could be a revolution, there could be some chaos, there could be some wars, but we would need those things to happen before Mahdi's arrival. Okay, makes sense? You guys understand what I'm trying to say here? Yes? No? Give me thumbs up. P, E. Okay. All right. Cool. Thank you. One person acknowledges. Question next here is, should we be waiting for the Mahdi to save the Ummah and save people who are suffering in different parts of the world? We're like, yo, we can't do anything, man. Let's just wait for the Mahdi. Yo, the Mahdi is going to come and he's our savior. He is our Superman. He will take care of things and he will come and he will just wave his hands and the bombs are going to fly away and we're going to be protected and all going to be, yo, this is sick, yo. Okay? Is this what we're supposed to do? Just wait for the Mahdi and can't really do anything else about any suffering that's happening in the world? I think in my reaction, you can tell that's not what we're supposed to do. Okay, um, we're supposed to do what we can, guys. The Quran and the Sunnah tells us to stand up against injustice, against oppression. We use our hands if we can. If we cannot, we use our mouth. If we can't, we use our heart. So the oppression and the things that are happening around the world, we have to still be activists in speaking against it. We have to still try to do our best to have organizations that support different parts of the world who are suffering, put political pressure, you know, try to revive the ummah, to take you know, things into its own hands, etc., etc. Whatever we got to do, we are still accountable to do. We cannot say, oh Allah, I was waiting for the Mahdi. That is not a solution to our problems. Um, you know, we do the best we can and then we put our trust in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Okay? Make sense? Yes. Okay. Anyone have any questions on Mahdi? And then we're going to jump to Dajjal. Any questions on anything that I've said, either today or last week? We're ready to go on to Dajjal. Dajjal. Oh, the Hamilton guy. Okay, so the Hamilton Dajjal, the Hamilton Mahdi as Sheikh Hussam was saying, he was Imam actually of the Mountain Masjid in Hamilton. And it was after Salah, he just finished Salah, and then suddenly one guy got up and he says, guys, you've all been waiting for the Mahdi. I know who the Mahdi is. I'll tell you who the Mahdi is. And everybody's like, what the heck? And suddenly he's like, I am the Mahdi. Follow me. I am the real Mahdi. And anyways, Sheikh Hussam kind of tried to quiet him down, take him to the side, and I guess he did realize, unfortunately, the person seems to have mental illness. So it's not that funny when you realize there is perhaps mental illness. No one's going to just come up in the masjid randomly and say, "Hey, I'm the Mahdi, and follow me." So Sheikh Hussam did assess that most likely this person has mental illness after speaking to him. So yeah, that person did not deceive anybody, and no one followed him. But it was interesting nonetheless. Cool. Anyone else? Any questions, guys? Any questions? Somebody called me. I'm expecting somebody to come. Okay, never mind. All right. So let's move on to major signs. So like I said last time, the Mahdi is the last of the minor signs. After how many days he will appear? We said, remember that the Muslims go back to their homelands and then Dajjal will appear. So, after they fight off the Romans and they're victorious, they come back to their homelands, and very soon, the hadith says very soon, so it seems a few days, like in a short time, Dajjal will appear. Okay, so the major signs, let me go through all 10 of them. There are 10 major signs that are mentioned in a hadith. Okay, I will mention them all over here, and inshallah, in the next few weeks, we will cover them all. All right. So the Messenger of Allah came out of his room while we were discussing the matter of the hour. He said, "The hour will not come until you see 10 signs." Okay, so the Prophet told the Sahaba 10 signs. These are major signs. This is what the scholars say, signs of the Day of Judgment. And this is not in chronological order. Inshallah, we'll try to do them in chronological order. I'm just copying and pasted the hadith. The rising of the sun from the west, the smoke, the dukhan, emergence of the beast. There's a beast that will emerge and talk to people. The emergence of Ya'juj and Ma'juj, Gog and Magog. The appearance of Isa ibn Maryam, the Dajjal. The 3 land cave-ins. These are like not just earthquakes, these are land cave-ins. So the land will cave in and suck up like a huge portion of cities or entire cities. Okay, one in the east, one in the west, one in the Arabian Peninsula. So those are 3 signs. Those are 3 of the 10. And then the fire, this is the last thing that will happen before the Day of Judgment. A fire which will emerge from the midst of Yemen and will drive or gather the people, stopping them wherever they stop for the night on to rest during the day. So it will push people towards the place where Day of Judgment will occur. Of course, people will all die before Day of Judgment, but this is the last thing that happens. Oh, you guys can't see the screen? How come you can't see the screen? Let me do the screen share again. Can you guys see the screen? Okay, now you guys see the screen. Okay, cool. Okay, so no. It's a screen in front of me. I'm glad you guys can see it now. Okay, so these are the 10 major signs that are mentioned directly in a hadith. All right. Now we are interested in Dajjal for the time being. So the arrival of Dajjal. I don't know if he looks like this. I just found a cool picture of Dajjal. I'll explain each one of those, inshallah. Farha, or Fariha, Miss Fatima. Sorry, I thought it was Farha. Miss Fatima, I'll explain, inshallah, each of the 10 signs. We're going to start with Dajjal, inshallah. So, yeah, this is just a cool depiction of Dajjal. He's probably scarier and uglier and much more than this, okay, because the one eye, the hadith mentions, it actually protrudes out, it comes out, it's like a grape, okay, so it's very disgusting having an eye pop out like that. And others mentions it's wiped out, and there is a marking of K kafir. It says kafir on his head, or the three letters, the K, F, Kaf, Fa, and Ra, without the Alif. Okay, so those who are believers will be able to tell. Those who are not believers will, say, "Oh, cool, tattoo," or whatever they're gonna say. Okay. Um, yes, it was graphic. It's meant to be graphic. Okay. So, Dajjal is something we are supposed to seek refuge for and ask Allah to really not keep us even alive during that time, because it is the biggest fitnah that humanity has ever faced since Adam's creation. Okay, since Adam alayhi salam until the day of judgment, there is no fitnah bigger than Dajjal. All right. Um, and the Prophet ﷺ says, no prophet was sent except he warned his people about Dajjal. No prophet has been sent except he warned his people about Dajjal because of the fitna of Dajjal. And I've picked up some hadith for you to just show you how messed up Dajjal is and the fitna of Dajjal. Okay, so that inshallah you will also be doing this dua. We're supposed to do this dua at the end of each prayer of tahiyyat. اللهم إني أعوذ بك من عذاب جهنم ومن عذاب القبر ومن شر فتنة المحيا والممات ومن شر فتنة المسيح الدجال. Okay, this is the version in Sahih Bukhari. Okay, so this is an authentic dua that the Prophet ﷺ used to recite at the end of Salah. I memorized it in a different version, but this seems to be the most authentic version. I just looked it up to see what is the most authentic version of the dua, and this is the most authentic version of the dua. Prophet ﷺ, after every single salah, used to recite this to seek protection from four things: from the punishment of Jahannam, from the punishment of the grave, from the trials, the evil trials of the life and death. So there are different trials we go through, all of us, whether we have Dajjal in our life or not. We have our own issues. So ask Allah to save us from those things. And then finally from the trials of Masih Dajjal. Okay, Tamim al-Dari, we will not discuss today. We can discuss another time, inshallah. So the Prophet ﷺ says that Dajjal will stay on earth for 40 days. Okay, that's how long his trial is. However, these are not 40 normal days. One day, the first day, will be as long as a year. Second one will be as long as a month. Third day as long as a week. And the rest of the days will be as long as the ordinary days. All right? What is a question a person may ask when they see this description here of the days and the length of the days? What would you ask? What would you say? Maryam, you're a sneaky one. That's what the Sahaba did ask. Okay, that was actually the only question the Sahaba asked, is how do we pray our 5 daily prayers? Is the one day, like 5 times for the whole year? Is that sufficient? Um, he said, no, do it according to your calculations. How this whole thing will work, that is a very good question, and it's a fair question. We don't know details. Allahu a'lam. What does that mean exactly? We don't know if that's time will be shorter metaphorically, physically, if the earth slows down its rotation. Wallahu a'lam. I don't know. Okay. Yeah, is the sun set only once in that day? Allahu a'lam. Okay, this is why the Sahaba asked, whoa, if it's gonna be like one day, do we just pray once in the whole year? Right? Allahu a'lam, it will feel like a year. I don't know if the time will go by slowly, the earth, I don't know. Okay, we don't know. Time can change when the sun will rise from the west. No, this will be quite a before the sun rises from the west, because the sun rising from the west will come quite a bit later. Okay, This will be before that. This will be a lot ahead of that. So Allahu A'lam, when you go into physics and the natural order of the earth and the stars and the galaxies, Allahu A'lam, it doesn't make sense. But the one who created all of this, if he wants to change it for a duration, he can. How? Allahu A'lam. Okay? So we'll leave it as that. But the idea is Dajjal stay with us will be a, a lengthy one. You can calculate it's about 1 year and 3 months roughly. Okay, so more details. So he'll be able to travel all over the world except Mecca and Medina. Okay, so only in Mecca and Medina he will not be able to travel. He will be traveling very fast and swiftly, like the strong winds steer the clouds. Allahu A'lam, the description given in this hadith about him traveling like the winds, he probably has his own personal airplane. Simple as having an airplane that he can travel wherever with. Does he have a beast that he travels on? That beast could be an airplane. Allahu A'lam. Okay, so when you go into these details, who knows? Okay, but he will be able to travel. See, at the time the Sahaba, see, this is a good point here. The time the Sahaba, they couldn't imagine airplanes, right? Airplanes flying like the wind. How is he going to do that? Hadith doesn't mention, right? Now, for us, this thing here is not even an issue. We're like, oh, he travels like the clouds, like the strong winds. We're like, oh, airplanes do that. Airplanes travel faster than the winds. Okay, so for us, this here is not like, oh wow, how does he do that? Right? The time of the Sahaba, they're like, whoa, how does he do that? But they're like, we believe the Prophet ﷺ, he said it, it's gonna happen. We don't know how. When it happens, it happens. Now, for us, this is like, hey, piece of cake. Okay. Okay, dude. Yes, where the Dajjal stays in Medina or outside of Medina, there's a nice castle over there, and you can see it by yourself. You can see it. There's a Dajjal palace. It's actually the king's palace that was built there in the 80s, I believe. But all the descriptions of the hadith and stuff matches Dajjal being there. And hey, if Dajjal comes right now and he's outside of Medina, where is he gonna stay? In the desert? It says that he will be on top of a mountain looking at Medina. Okay, and if he does that, he's gonna go to the most beautiful house around, and that is the palace of the king. So just that's how I put it together. Okay. Yeah. Okay. He will claim to be Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, wal-i'adhu billah. Okay, he will actually claim to be God himself. Yes, Zainab, we think just from the descriptions, he'll stay in that palace. We just assume that just from the description. The king tried to build a very nice palace on top of the mountain, to look at Medina. I don't know if you knew the hadith and tried to build it for Dajjal. I don't want to say that. That's who cares if that he did intentionally or not. But from the hadith and the descriptions, it seems this is where Dajjal will stick around. Okay. The governments are going to be following. Everybody will be following him. You'll see why everybody will be following him. Okay, not just the governments of Saudi Arabia. Every government will follow him. Everyone who has weak iman will follow him. Okay, he will claim to be God. Initially, he claims to be a prophet, and then he does claim to be God himself. Okay, yeah, because sometimes right away people claim to be God, people will not believe it, but Allah keeps giving him powers and powers until he will claim to be God himself. Yes, the Christians will believe he is the Messiah, right? The Son of God, henceforth God himself. The Jews will believe he is the last prophet mentioned in the Bible or in their Torah. They reject the Prophet ﷺ and they claim that the Messiah, like he'll come at the end of time, so they will all follow him. A lot of people are going to follow him, guys. A lot of people, including Muslims. Okay, don't think Muslims are not going to be following him. A lot of Muslims will follow him. Okay, I would say perhaps the majority of Muslims are going to follow Dajjal, and you'll see why in a second. Okay, he will have with him a garden and a huge fire, and he will refer to his garden as Jannah and his fire as Jahannam. Okay, so when he has this, every religion almost has this concept of God having hell and heaven. When he brings this hell and heaven and people can see it and kind of feel it and sense it in a way, people will fall for him. People will fall for him. All right. Now, the hadith mentions that which looks like a garden is actually fire, and that which will be his fire will actually be a garden. And he instructed the believers to reject him and accept being thrown into his fire, because his fire is actually very cool, chill, nice place. Okay, so you're supposed to go ahead and jump into the fire if you are faced off by him. Okay. Okay, so Yusuf asks a very nice question. You don't have, you guys can ask it publicly too. Maybe it was a very nice question. It says, why would Muslims follow him? Wouldn't be an iman booster. Dajjal comes and yo, that's a Dajjal. That's what we know. Okay, first of all, a lot of people don't know these details. Did you all know these details? And I'll keep going with these hadith and ask you all, did you know all these details? Okay. Do you hear how many khutbahs are being mentioned? Dajjal is being mentioned in the khutbahs? Not too many, eh? Not too many people talk about this topic. And again, it's a little bit of a political topic, so people, aren't very comfortable talking about it. And Allahu Alam, what would happen until then, where there'll be more ignorance and less people who know about it. Okay, and even knowing about it, it's one thing to know, and it's another thing to follow. How many people know that alcohol is haram, yet they will drink alcohol? How many people know that they're supposed to pray salah, yet they don't pray salah? How many people know that they're supposed to dress in a certain way, yet they don't dress in a certain way? Right? You go down the list. Okay. We are told to run from him, but he may catch some people. Okay, the Prophet instructs us not to face him in a hadith. He says, do not face him, because even though you may be sure that he is Dajjal and he's not Allah, you don't know the trials and the miracles and the things that he will do that might mess you up. And I'll show you more things over here. Okay, so here's more. Okay, Mahdi is going to be running away from Dajjal too, Maria. Okay, Mahdi will be not facing off against Dajjal. He will be running away as well. Okay. طيب. So here's a detailed story. Let's go through this. And I gotta just push these things aside here. The Prophet said he will come to some people claiming to be God, and they will believe him. Upon his orders, the sky will rain and the earth will produce crops for these people. Their animals will graze on their land and return to them in the evening with large udders full of milk and their flanks full stretched. So they're very healthy, nice meat and milk and all that. Then he will go to other people and call them, but they will refuse to believe in him. Without forcing them, he will leave. However, they will suffer a great famine and will be left with no wealth. However, when these true believers wake up in the morning, they will find that they are penniless and all their properties have been destroyed. Okay, so fitnah upon fitnah. You follow him, you get the dunya, you get the rain, you get the crops, you get the wealth. You reject him, then guess what happens? No rain, no crops, no wealth, home is destroyed. Okay. Why not come down the what? Terms? I don't know, dude. That's where he comes. You're gonna go ask when you see Isa, inshallah, ask him that question. Tell him, dude, yo man, why didn't you come down the harems? Okay. So I don't know. He comes down in Damascus. That's where Allah sends him. Cool. So, anyways, this hadith just shows you how um, difficult this trial is, man. This is not a joke. This is real deal. This is your life and death and everything is all dependent on it. So nowadays for dunya, people do all sorts of haram things, right? People follow different things, change their names, change their travel, change their lands, change everything for dunya, for a job, right? Look at this one. You ready for the next hadith? He will pass by the wastelands and say, bring forth your treasures. Treasures will follow him like swarms of bees. Okay? So he will have the ability to extract gold and hidden treasures in the earth. Who follows him, they'll be able to see this guy with this crazy power, uh, godly power, supernatural power, and supernatural abilities, and the wealth, and the hell, and the heaven. He's got everything, man. Okay, so big fitna, man, big fitna. All right. Here's one more to just show you this big fitna. Okay, and this is not a diss to women, but this is just a warning to be extra careful. Ibn Umar anhu says, the Messenger of Allah said, the false Messiah will come upon this marsh of Mari Qanat. It's near Medina. Most of those who go out to him will be women. Okay, so he cannot enter Medina, but people will be able to see him is outside, and people are going to leave Medina to go and follow him. Can you believe it? Okay, now you want to go to Medina to protect yourself from Dajjal. If your iman is not strong, you will leave Medina to go follow Dajjal. Okay, and the hadith says majority of the people who will leave Medina to follow him will be women. Okay, and then it says, until a man goes back to his wife, his mother, his daughter, his sister, his aunt, to shackle them tightly, fearing they would go out with him. So many women go out and follow him that the men of the house are gonna tie the women up to ensure they don't follow. Okay, so it's a big fitna, and people, whoever has inclinations towards dunya, they will go and follow him. Okay, what if a Muslim has the correct intention, like they actually think they are following Allah? Intentions don't matter when it comes to kufr. Okay, if you are deceived, Allah gave us the message, gave us a prophet, gave us all these ahadith and ayat. There's enough Allah gives us to reject him. People who follow him are following him for dunya reasons. Look at all these ahadith. What do you conclude from it? People follow him because of dunya, not because they follow him because it's easy, because there's no trials after you follow him. Supposedly, he gives you vegetation, crops, money, blah, 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 right? So they will, whoever, and then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, look, he gave him one eye, so you can know that he's not God. Allah is not one-eyed. Allah is infinite, and he would not be physically appearing anywhere, ever. Why would God appear in a physical form? This person, has Kafa Ra on his forehead, and you're going to still follow him. So people who follow him are going to follow him for dunya, okay? And this is why they will be in big trouble. There's one last story. Do we have time for the story, guys? It's 2:50. We'll stop here, okay? And we'll continue from the story next week, okay? So we'll stop here and we'll continue from the story next week, inshallah. We'll finish off Dajjal, and then if we have time, we'll go into other signs, inshallah. Right? So, yeah, biggest danger, biggest fitna, biggest issue ever. And that's why we're supposed to do the dua every prayer, and also read Surah Al-Kahf on Friday, first 10 verses, last 10 verses minimum. If you don't have time to read the whole surah, read the first 10 verses and the last 10 verses. That'll take you like literally 5 minutes, guys. So do it, inshallah, and ask Allah to protect you from Dajjal. Any quick questions? Quick questions? Otherwise, we will. Do you know when how often the Q&A classroom is updated? The Q&A classroom, Sheikh, Mr. Samir, brother Samir, Sheikh Samir Hussein, he's the one who really updates it. If it hasn't been updated, he's probably a bit busy right now. I do try to answer the questions, guys, on the live sessions. We've answered several. I will post the video, inshallah, for yesterday's Q&A session. You can take a look at that. And if there's a particular question you really wanted to be answered, you can just email it, guys. I know it won't be anonymous. If it has to be anonymous, just ask it again on the Q&A, the form again. Just ask it again if it's something that has to be answered urgently. But I mentioned it before, and I'll mention it again. If you want to speak with me one-on-one about any questions, need answers to, inshallah, I can set up a time on Zoom where I can speak with you individually one-on-one. All right, guys, we'll stop here. Maryam, why do Christians believe about Dajjal? They believe in an Antichrist. So there is an Antichrist in their books. However, subhanAllah, they will fall for Dajjal to be the Messiah, the returned Messiah. And that's why they'll follow him very, very fast, very quickly, because he will claim to be the Messiah, right? He will claim to be Jesus in the beginning, and they will follow him very easily. And we can talk about the Messiah Netflix show as well next week if you guys want, and how you would be able to tell if that guy is fake or not, and what it says about the population. Wallahu alam. Okay, so we can talk about that next week. Tayyib, guys, thank you. Take care. We'll see you all. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Was a guide for all people and a mercy to the universe. Was a guide.